Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another movie review, and that is the fourth installment of the Bad Boys franchise, Ride or Die. It probably should have been called Bad Boys for Life, but they already did that episode before that. This is coming straight off of the heels of the success of the third one, and now we have these amazing superstars back. Martin Lawrence, Will Smith back into it this time around. Unfortunately, their old, I don't want to spoil too much, their old captain has been framed for some things that they don't know for sure if he's done or not. And it's going to test both Marcus and Mike to their very limits and beyond. So I have here a Mike of his own, Mike Lowrey, Jedi Mike 7. What's up, man?
How's it going?
What's going on, dude? So me and Mike were able to go and check it out. I can personally say I can't believe this was as good, if not better, than the third one. I the fact that the original one came out, I think it was 1994 or 92. That's insane. This has been 30 years, bro. Nearly 30 years. And, the first one is a classic in its own right. A lot of people would say the same exact thing about the second one, but nobody thought that they would really come back for a third one. And for them to come out with the fourth one and it to go as hilarious and at the same time action packed as it was, I think is a feat. I think they did a really good job with this one, but they also had the same exact directors coming back to tell this story again. So, what for you, Mike? What was your take on this new ride?
Yeah, this one was in 1995. The first one was actually in 1995. And yeah, so I was looking into this. I was familiar with Bad Boys and everything, but not really kind of like into the franchise, know everything. And then jumped on when they brought it back uh with the new one with the Bad Boys for Life, which should have been this one for life, but no, it's Bad Boys for Life. This one's Ride or Die, and I actually enjoyed the last one. I thought that was one of the sequels where it's like what, usually we've seen old existing franchises with a long way to sequel and bring senior actors back in their heyday and everything. But with this, they just jump right into it. And so then, that first one was success, or the third one was a success, and then he got to this one. And surprisingly, you think that, hey, where's the point where this gets like, okay, like this franchise is over? But this was probably definitely for me was better than the last one. I had a good time. And again, is this film supposed to be Citizen Kane? No, it's supposed to be what it's supposed to be, which is fun. Good action scene, good chemistry. The banter between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence doesn't fall in this one. It continues, and it's the strength of the movie, just as it is the rest of the previous films. But again, because of now with advancements of camera work and everything, and action scenes, they're able to make it more bigger, more grander, and they have with this one. But I just felt like this. Yeah, there might have been some scenes where obviously Martin Lawrence is getting older and probably the one that's out of both of them in the worst shape. I guess you can say. I don't want to say worse, but again, I know the concerns about his health and stuff recently, but to me, I felt like again they did a good job with him and also Will Smith as well, and especially now between to now and the last film, Will Smith definitely needed this film to get back on track, and I believe this is a good step in the right direction for him.
Yeah, and with this one, they're bringing back certain characters. Vanessa Hudgens' character, Kelly, Alexander Ludwig from the Viking show, Dorn is back. And of course, like one of the standouts in the last one, Jacob Scipio's role of Armando, who is Will Smith's son. And it's interesting that they find ways of still making this lively, entertaining. Like they don't feel like sad characters. They feel like this is a progression. And I think that's one of the other benefits of having returning actors, much like the Marcus's daughter coming back and Marcus's now stepson coming back. So it's actually so interesting that they build upon a world that they've had a good foundation. Of course, those tropes are going to be there. Of course, it's going to be really cheesy at times because it's a recall from things that's happened in the past. But there are some very serious moments in this. There are some really moments where you question what is going to happen. Is this it? and there's a lot of life and death situations, and there's also some payback for certain things that's happened in the certain actors' real lives as well as here. And I think that they use entertainment and their chemistry to allow this story to really connect with the audience on the entertainment level and on an emotional level. There, when we were watching it, normal people that were watching it were crying, they were yelling, they were cheering, and they were laughing. Some of the, oof, I wish I could say, there are some payoffs in this movie that you guys
Yes,
are going to lose your minds in the theater. I can't
20 years in the making.
I can't say anything more than that. I'm not gonna give anything away. I'm not gonna give you guys a hint. I'm just saying that there are 2 to 3 different payback things that you guys are gonna lose your minds about. And I think honestly, yes, I do know that hmm, Marcus as a character has gone through a lot emotionally, as well as Martin Lawrence. But Martin Lawrence in this, to me, he is a free spirit. He is in it. And that's not to undercut Will, but there are moments with this that I'm looking at, man, Martin Lawrence is such a treasure, man. Like, he's a legend. He understands comedic timing in ways that other people don't. Like, even in the cringiest of moments, he has some kind of mannerism or a tale or something he says so quick that you can't help but either smirk or just bust out laughing. And I think that when you have somebody like Will that can bounce off of that really well, or other characters that can bounce off really well, it makes for great character interactions. And so that sleight of tongue and certain things that happen, like they're set up in certain ways that it's just hilarious. And at the same that time, it's still very volatile, still very dangerous. Speaking of dangerous, like some of the things that's the criminal element and some of the things that are kind of happening with certain characters, I was going to ask your perspective on tone. There is a character in this that I think does a really good job, and that's Eric Dane's character in this. Um, eh, I I didn't think that he would work in a franchise like this necessarily. We've seen him in Euphoria. He's a great actor, but from a tone standpoint, sometimes that can be hit or miss. They were able to find ways of using tone to make valid decisions with how the story is going to go and still stick the landing, in my personal opinion, which is hard to do with a comedy as action. It's either one, it plays to your strengths of just like, oh, this is great action entertainment, or two, it's like, oh wow, this is great emotionally, but it undercut like the action and cinematography and explosive. I feel like this had everything. Like, I feel like a lot of the scenes that tonally could be really harsh, they felt that. But then the action moments when it meant to be funny and engaging and diabolical and violent, it was.
Mhm.
But I don't know. What's your take on that tone?
Yeah, I think for some people, I think some of the comedy, like half of the comedy in this film, might not work for you, just because again, you kind of just seen the old same trope and stuff. But in terms of from a technical perspective, like, and there's a video that's out right now, you can find Will Smith, that of how he's like, operating the camera as he's, um in a gunfight and everything. But I think the way they did that with the camera and everything made it engaging, again, made it exciting and stuff from all angles too. But also, when you talk about the relationship, they're also, their age plays into the story, even things that are not really in terms of Bad Boys history, like previously in the films. Like, this film also goes on like some type of like spiritual level,
Yeah,
and people, dealing with their anxiety and trauma and stuff like that, right? But again, this being a continuation, there's also some things or debts that have to be paid because people have committed certain acts in previous films that have ramifications now, right? And they definitely did a good job in terms of weaving everything together. And even if you are into the Bad Boys like lore, and I'm not trying to say like, this is like cinematic universe or anything, but hey, well, I will say, like, they do go back into some previous films that will pay off in this film, even when it comes to the crime story and everything, especially dealing with the police captain and the chief that was killed in the previous film, does play a role in this film and everything. But but they're put in new circumstances and everything, and they have unexpected allies. So, and how they operate that dynamic, and to also the position of, hey, father figures, and the relationship with their children, relationship with family. That's another big part of this too. So that's I was very intrigued how they did this, but again, the film needed what it needed to be. It was fun. It was engaging action. I don't feel like in any part of this movie I was bored. Um, at all. It's it's about like an hour and a half or so, which is consistent with most of the Bad Boys films, which is what it needs to be, to go back to action, films that were becoming lost in like in the last couple of years, because we're focusing on more bigger franchises or IP and CGI and stuff. No, this is and this is a film honestly I feel is rewatchable. Good, like, popcorn film to watch, and good moments to laugh out and enjoy with an audience, which that's the biggest thing. I remember just like watching it first time, was watching with the audience and everybody laughing and reacting to the same things. Like, that made the experience more enjoyable. Um, and definitely, I feel like the action scenes will definitely be capitalized on the big screen. Again, see this in the IMAX if it's available. Go see in that. Because yeah, this definitely what they do in this film adds onto that when you see it on a maximum screen.
Yeah, go and check it out in Dolby if you can. Go and check it out in, like you said, IMAX. We saw it on very small scale, and we were just like, man, this would be something to watch with your friends or your family, or your spouse, and you're gonna have a really dope time with it. So from an entertainment standpoint, this was up there. I really enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it from an entertainment standpoint more than the first one. Not the first one, but the third one. But it does continue the franchise in a good way. I think that sometimes tone goes back and forth at times.
Yes.
It comes off tongue in cheek, but it never takes me out of it. So even when it's corny or cheesy, it's still engaging and funny because you got good talent. Like the directors know how far they can go. But at the same as that time, there are moments that are emotional, and I it, it's really, you don't really know how this movie's going to end. I like that. I really do like how the way they round this out. If they don't make another one, I love how they handled this. But yeah, let's go ahead and kind of closing thoughts. And what's your final letter grade rating, Mike? A to F. Final thoughts.
I give this an A-. Now, again, I'm not saying this is the best movie of the year, but I'll say this is one the fun moments of this year I've had, so far. Again, the year's not over yet, but this is one to remember where I enjoyed myself, watching this film and had a good time, and I left with a smile on my face. And I had, again, my expectations was low. I mean, like low to the flow. I was like, hey, like. Currently now, like, when was gonna be the drop off, but I was pleasantly surprised. I think if you're a Bad Boys fan, you need to see this in the theaters and stuff, and this is something that I will not wait for streaming. Yeah, I will go see it when it's in theaters. And give credit where credit's due. Use, pay that dollar to go in a maximum screen, with some friends and family, and with the audience too. I think that'd be a good enjoyable experience for y'all. And a shout out to Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. Definitely, this is a win for them.
Yep.
Now, whether this will continue on and in the probably for another film, who knows? But I'll say, if this was the last one, I I think that I'll be okay with it. Like the way they capped off this story. But again, they're they can end this story and tie it up with a bow and say, well, this was a good franchise, and I wouldn't complain about it. But I'll give it A-.
Yeah, for me, from an entertainment standpoint, this is an A, straight up. From an entertainment standpoint, this is absolutely A.
Yes.
Like, I gauge entertainment when I'm a physical media purist. So if I know, like, oh wow, I've got like, a trilogy already, would I really add this other movie to my collection in a heartbeat? Like, if I'm getting a whole set and they have like a whole box of 4K, I'm getting this whole entire set, and it complements the series. It doesn't make a mockery of it, adds to it. Certain ideas could add to spin-off possibilities. I'm more intrigued by that. Like, and I'm not saying this is a Rocky to Creed situation. That's all I'm gonna say. And I think from a critical standpoint, I rested at like a B, maybe a B or B plus. I think it's there's not many flaws in it. There are certain things that kind of is like very predictable and certain tropes, but I think that at the same time you have to have a cohesive story and have a good foundation. I think the benefit is they had a good foundation and the story worked with how the characters were progressing, and the characters did progress, they did evolve. I was entertained, so that's why I can't guess anything lower than a B to B plus. Totally. But yeah, go and check out this movie. It's freaking dope. Take your family, go see it. Do you know it is rated R? It's very violent.
Oh
There's
yes,
blow
right.
up, there's decapitations, there's a lot of other things. Matter of fact, like certain actress who is hilarious in her own right has one of the most
Yeah,
horrific
yeah.
scenes. And I'm just warning you guys, go and check it out first before you just kind of take your kids out to go and check it out. And I mean, that's the fact about all of them. I mean, Bad Boys 2 was pretty rough and very violent and a lot of vulgar language. So just be cognizant of that. But yeah, go and check it out as soon as you can. Mike, where can everybody find your content?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube and on Instagram at Jedi Mike 7. Make sure you hit notification bell. Got videos dropping, weekly and everything, and also my social media as well. Yeah, you tune in there.
Yes, sir. You heard it here first, guys. We're gonna go. We got more reviews to cover, more interviews. We got film festivals and a lot of craziness to come. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell button. Go and check out Mike's content in the description bar below. We're out, people. Peace.
Filing out the top of
I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on my mind.